I know my family gives away millions of dollars each year to charity, but how does that exactly level the playing field? I mean, what did I do to earn the kind of money I'll own at midnight tonight? All I did was inherit it.
Yeah, a bunch of rich kids, huh? They wouldn't know what to do with money. That's why we're gonna fall apart. Unless we convince these kids to spend the money right, we're screwed, Clark. If you're a rich kid, take my advice. Do something with the electrical grid. Help the homeless. Help people. Don't be a scumbag.
My grandfather Seward was the first generation to be born rich. When he was my age, he bought a schooner and sailed to the Arctic. From the beginning, my grandfather had everything going for him. He went to the best schools, was trained in all the finer arts, and was introduced to all the right people.
And I wasn't. And so was every American kid wasn't.
He founded a company in 1886 that was called Johnson & Johnson.
And they made sure that no one else profited.
It wasn't long before the Johnson brothers were two of the richest men in America. It sure seemed like my grandfather had an ideal life. If only he'd known then about the trouble ahead. By the end of his days, my grandfather had managed to sink himself and his family into the kind of problems only truly mastered by the very rich. Ugly estate battles, bitter divorces, brutal publicity, and family ties undone by business rivalries. I've heard plenty of stories like my grandfather's, and I have a feeling that I'm not the only rich kid a little worried about the voodoo of inherited wealth. But the thing is, nobody wants to talk about money.
I do.
It's like this big
Give me some.
Always
We'll make America better.
That's why I want to ask other kids who were born rich about that one subject everybody knows it's not polite to talk about.
Look, Jamie, this firm, we have represented your family for years. For years. I can't in good conscience recommend to the kinds of people you want to talk to about the kinds of things you want to talk about that they participate in the film. They have to be nuts. I mean, you're dealing with families that have always made it gospel that you don't talk about your money. And now you want to put them in a film that, I don't know how, I'm not surprised that you're having trouble getting people.
Before I say anything, I just want to say that I'm really, really reluctant to do this. And I really don't like talking this thing at all. And I dislike you both immensely as a result of the fact.
If Luke is any indication of what it's going to be like trying to get my friends to talk, then this is going to be more of an adventure than I expected.
I have sort of apprehensions, first of all, about being on, in a film, about a bunch of rich kids. Maybe it's more than that. I understand that it represents, a particular sort of, niche that maybe, most of the world doesn't really recognize, and in that way it's significant. But, I would worry about, my parents seeing it, I would worry about, some of my friends seeing it. I think, some of them would think that my involvement in it was inappropriate. Essentially just kind of the notion of talking about, one's wealth, describing a bunch of people's wealth, it's just kind of tacky. My father's in the gaming industry. They do sports and horse racing. They supply the equipment and security and everything. So they do all the betting at Belmont and, Churchill Downs is where the Kentucky Derby's held. at the Preakness, and then they do all the hotels in Vegas or Atlantic City in terms of sports betting. It's a pretty big business. My father told me at a very early age that I could do whatever I wanted. You can do whatever you want. You can be a cunt or violinist for all I care, as long as you do something. As long as you do something, you're going to be set up. You don't have to worry about anything. Don't do something. He didn't say, at that age, I might have to cut you off, but...
It would be a low estimate, a very low estimate for me to say 20 billion. But I can't get too exact with it. But in attainable assets, that's the range our family's in. My grandfather goes by SI. His father went by SI. I'm my father's oldest son, so I'm SI number 4. And my great grandfather had bought a group of magazines under a label called Condé Nast. I don't remember what was in it originally, so I'm just going to name them all. Is that okay? I don't have enough fingers. Vogue, Allure, Vanity Fair, GQ, Self, Glamour, House and Garden, Condé Nast Traveler, Architectural Digest, Bon Appetit, Gourmet, Wired, New Yorker, and I'm sure there's a couple I missed, which in any other family you'd think would lay a lot of pressure on my shoulders and say, you're the oldest, you're the namesake. But it doesn't work that way in my family. You got to earn your way. If you don't go to school, at least somewhat, and if you don't work for the family and put in your time, you don't get shit.
How you doing? Good, eh? Very good. You're looking great. It's therapeutic. You go to the shrink, you talk about yourself, and then you figure out things. Same thing, you're a tailor, and you still talk about yourself, and you figure out other things. It's my shrink. And there are not many people like myself in modeling. I see and had friends that really got me into it. They almost coerced me into it. I kept hearing it from many sides. Try it, why not try it? And finally I did. And Lauren Hutton, who's a friend of mine, gave me the idea. Isabella Rossellini once said, yes, call me up. Some other members of my family think it's a step down being a whore, which for a man, I think it is. I did it purposely. It's the other end of the spectrum for me. I've always been very introspective and interested in culture.
I'm gonna cut it short here, guys.
And this is something.
But if you're a rich kid,
on the surface completely, and
help some motherfucker, man.
That side.
Don't be stupid. Do like your grandparents did, man. Fix the electrical grid. Do something great for America.